Okay, hey guys, sorry about that. I don't really know what happened. I pushed a button and it went a little crazy. Hi. If you're here, you can type just a little hi-ho in the chat because I always love seeing who's here. There's my little hi-ho. Okay. So, hi, Ann Stocke from Refined Life Coaching here. Today, I am going to talk about the concept of reserve, and it's a word that we use in the coaching industry a lot. There's even like programs all about this whole concept of reserve, having reserve in your life. I'm going to define it. I'm going to give you guys some examples. I'm going to tell you why it's not great if you don't have it, and tell you kind of why you want it, why you want a little reserve, and then I'll give you a simple way you can maybe try and get some reserve yourself. So the term is used all over in coaching, and I have my little I went to Coach U, and then I went to Corporate Coach U, and we get all these books from Coach U, and this is called the Personal Development Workbook. And in here, they even have like a whole program, like literally like you're going to school, a whole program, on the topic of reserve. I like it because it leads to what I think is a more joyful and kind of a softer approach to living in the world. And there's just more space for happiness and joy, as opposed to, well, let's talk about it. We'll go into it. So reserve is that little kind of bit of extra in any part of your life that you kind of have that you can use to almost share it. It's sort of like having a little bit of extra gas in the tank. So you can have reserve in many areas of your life. You could have it in money. You could have it in your love life. You could have it in relationships. You could have it in your environment at home. When you're operating with a high level of reserve, you're more likely to be able to kind of weather the storm. If a storm's coming and you've built in some reserve, you're going to be able to handle the storm just a little bit better. So we're most familiar, like you and I are most familiar with the concept of reserve when we're talking about money. But man, you can have reserve in all different parts of your life. So I think that's what I really want to kind of address or talk about today for a little bit. So if you have reserve at your house, in your home, there's just a little bit of reserve built into your home or into your scheduling or into your relationships, life can be better. And I'm going to give you an example of actually the opposite, a person with no reserve. What does it look like when you don't have any reserve in certain parts of your life? So I'll use myself for an example. It's a pretty good example. But years ago when I had a flower shop, I would be working during the holidays, and we would be working November and December, and those were such busy times. So fun. Oh my gosh, so fun. But really quite busy. And so, there would be multiple employees working, there'd be extra people working, there would be, multiple arrangements to get done. Most of them were timed. And our hands, like when we would design with our hands, I mean, of course you're designing with your hands all the time, but we would have a lot of cuts from all of the pine, and then there'd be pitch all over, and all the different things that you use to design with in the winter are they're a little harsh on the hands. So our hands would kind of be wrecked, and at the same time, you'd be kind of standing over your station, and you'd be like going fast and getting this and getting this and getting this. And your body's in a position all day long that really kind of like wears and tears on certain parts of your arms, your shoulders, your back, your neck. So at the end of the day, in December, boy, I was just kind of miserable. I would go home. I had nothing. I didn't have anything for my kids. The dinner probably wasn't made. I didn't have a lot from my sweet, ever-loving husband. And it was a really good example of not having any reserve built in. Like there was nothing. I had nothing when I got home. I didn't feel like I was a very good parent. I didn't feel very present. But at the time, I didn't quite know what to do about it. So even when I came home, I was thinking about work the next day. And I'm wondering if that resonates with you guys at all. Because we are living in a society that's going pretty dang fast. So if it does, you can give me a little heart or a little happy face. I'm curious. So there was nothing left in the tank. And that's just a really good example of no reserve. I got nothing. I will also share that this morning I came home from an appointment and I needed to kind of quickly make something in the kitchen. And I was kind of moving fast, and my teenager came, and well, he was also exactly at the exact same time. He was going to make something in the kitchen. And I didn't have, like, my patience wasn't there. I didn't have any reserve. I was kind of just thinking ahead, moving ahead. What's the next thing? I got to go. And I didn't have any parenting reserve. And so the way I reacted to him was, oh my gosh, get out of the kitchen. I have been gone all morning. Like, how come you're just getting up now and getting breakfast? So that was not my best parenting moment at all. It really wasn't. So later when he came down, I apologized. I'm like, I would like to redo that, honey. That was not quite how I wanted to show up there. So I apologize for that. And then he ended up making his breakfast when I was done. But the point of the story is reserve can be in any part of your life. Another example is in relationships. There can be a really high level of reserve, or there can be very little. So you may have experienced when you're with like another couple and one person says to the other person something that seems sort of innocuous, and the other person just reacts, which maybe in your eyes is like, whoa, that was kind of like an overreaction. Like, where did that come from? And perhaps the whatever the person said really, it didn't seem to warrant that kind of a reaction. Relationships are a place where sometimes all of the reserve has run out. And boy, we need to build more reserve into that relationship. A little bit more space, a little bit more gas in the tank there. So relationships, another place where you can build up some reserve. So you might be wondering, like, well, how do I know if I am a person who needs some more reserve? And what I would say is, if you ever find yourself, or in life, you probably do, because we're not perfect at all of it, or maybe we're not perfect at any of it, you might find yourself quickly becoming like exasperated or frustrated or angry, kind of quick to anger, quick to that kind of reaction. And you find yourself reacting instead of taking a deep breath and then thoughtfully responding to the situation, whatever it is. So the goal of having reserve is that you have just a little bit of space, a little bit of energy, a little bit of, like, maybe you've done some pre-thinking, and you can respond thoughtfully as opposed to reacting. So some other tells that might tell you might need a little bit of reserve in your life are maybe you say to yourself, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have said that. Or, oh, did I say that out loud? Or that wasn't the tone I wanted to use there. I wish that had come out differently. You might find yourself saying things like, I just have nothing. Or I'm at the end of my rope. Or I'm at my wit's end. So kind of like the end. You're at the end. There's no more. You're depleted. We've all been in this space. And in any part of your life, you might have no reserve. So your reaction to a storm coming in that like particular part of your life could be kind of reactionary. So ideally, we want everybody to be thinking about how to be responsive, thoughtfully responsive, as opposed to reactionary. Okay? So I'm just looking up notes here. I guess an example, a really good example is instead of racing from place to place, think of a person you know that just runs from place to place, and he or she, they're just, oh boy, run, go, and not really anchored, kind of enjoying just a sitting space. So instead of racing from activity 1 to activity 2, imagine this. You have activity 1, and you go home, you think about activity 1, which you just did. Perhaps it was a luncheon with your friend Laura, who turns out is amazing, and you get to decide that you're going to collaborate with her on some amazing thing. So you sit down instead of racing to the next thing, you sit down and you have a glass of water and you think, oh, that's so great. I'm just going to let her know how amazing that lunch was. I really enjoyed it. And I do think that we should collaborate on that project, whatever that was. And you kind of have time to almost honor the time that you just spent. That's like a good example of reserve. Further, your next activity, which is coming up in like 10 or 15 minutes, you have a couple minutes to say, oh, how do I want to show up to this space? Now I'm going to go to a cocktail party. And do I want to be flurried, hurried, chaotic, running in? Or do I want to arrive intentionally thinking, oh, I'd really like to have a conversation with so-and-so. I think they're going to be there, so I want to seek them out. Or, gosh, I just want to enjoy who's there. Maybe I want to meet 2 new people. Or maybe I want to make sure to blank. And instead of showing up flurried, hurried, stressed, maybe show up peaceful, gracious, calm, connecting. It's a different way of thinking about a very rushed life, because we are really living a pretty rushed life. I see it all the time, every day. So the good thing about reserve is it actually helps you. I'm looking for my special slide I made for you guys. Oh yeah. It actually helps you show up like you actually want to. You have an opportunity, you have space, you have time, you have a little bit of thinking time, you have a couple minutes to really show up like you actually want to show up. And boy, that's something that we are really all about in coaching. Okay, so that's reserve. I'm wondering, do you have a place where you would like to build up some reserve? And is it really obvious right now, or is it something that you maybe want to think about? I'd love for you to pick a space time in your life to address the concept of reserve. Where do you want to have more reserve in your life? Where would you like to build up some reserve? Maybe it's in your money life. And you're thinking, yeah, well, here's kind of what's happening now, and I don't really like it. Or maybe it's in your scheduling, maybe it's in your calendar, maybe it's at home, maybe it's in a relationship. Wherever it is, I've got a really simple way for you to kind of figure out, how could I build up some reserve? Ready for the next slide, guys? This one you can write down. This is just a little map, just an easy little map. I always want things to be easy and quick so you don't have to download 1,000 things. I have stuff to download if you want, but this is easy and quick. You could do it at your desk. You take and you make 2 rectangles. And in the first rectangle, you write what's happening now in the area that you want to work on. Let's just say it's money. So you might write, oh, this, oh, that. This is happening with money. I don't really like this. This is happening and it's good. This is also happening. And if you want something to change, you write down what you want instead. If you want to have a little bit more reserve, then you write down, what does it look like to have more reserve in my money life? And then you see this little bridge here? That's what you got to walk across. And that's kind of what you got to figure out. Now, this model is actually a coaching model. And it's kind of interesting because right here is called the gap. In coaching, we call it the gap. And that's where coaches coach. We coach inside the gap. We figure out what's happening now for you, what you want to happen instead, and we figure out how to get there. Usually things come up like fear, limiting beliefs, things that really hold you back from doing things that you really want to do. And I have actually a plan if anybody's interested in creating some reserve in their home. I've designed a really sweet and soulful and simple coaching curriculum around having reserve. And I actually created it for moms who have kids going back to school. So if you're a mom who has kids going back to school and you want to really get serious about what's happening at home, kind of your foundations at home, and your systems and your routines, and you really want to just get intentional and have a great fall and a great winter, I would encourage you to just check into this coaching program. It is a good one. I'm super excited to deliver it to people. And it's a private one-on-one coaching program. So if you're curious at all, just connect. I think I'll type in the chat box the link, because you can look, all the information's at the link. I better go like this. And maybe, yeah, there we go. So it is at refinedlifecoaching.com, simple and soulful. So if you're a person who wants to have some more reserve, or there are other things going on where you just really want to make sure that you have a great fall and a great winter, I would encourage you to just connect with me and see if this particular coaching package is right for you. I'm so excited to start it, and this sessions will start in September. So it needs to be, there's like a special deal, $200 off if you sign up by the first part of September. So take a look if you're curious, if you want to do a little deeper dive with coaching. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to have you. And if you are out of town, we can meet over Zoom, or we can do phone coaching. Lots of people do phone coaching. It is amazingly effective. If you're in town in northern Minnesota and you want to meet me at a local coffee shop, I do that a lot. I spend a lot of time at the coffee shop. They know my face there. If you guys have any questions, you can type them in the chat. If you have any comments, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll look forward to hearing from you guys. Next week, I think I'm going to talk about another topic, another coaching topic. It's a coaching 101 topic, so that's kind of like the coaching basics. And it is called, it's called tolerations. So all coaches know about tolerations. It's something that we learn about in school, and we have different programs to work with tolerations. It's just a fascinating way to look at the world and look at life, and really make things better for you guys. So I hope everybody's well and enjoying the rest of summer. Let me know if anybody's interested in coaching. Bye-bye.